All right, everybody, welcome back to the channel. I am excited for today's video. It's going to be a good one, and I wanted to start it off today with just a comparison. I'm trying to help you out here, and some people in the comments, are saying that I'm obsessed with Dr. James White, which very easy criticism to make, but I always find that one humorous. But Dr. James White has been whining about Anons on Twitter for the last, couple of years. He's done like 782 dividing lines on it. And, it's all, I don't really pay attention to that stuff. And whenever I do, it's just always, kind of embarrassing to me how ineffective he is at understanding what's going on Twitter. And I'm a friend of the Anons. Everybody here understands that. But I saw today a 30-second clip. I don't know who this is. Maybe it's Sam himself, but it was posted by Sam Riley. And this 30-second clip absolutely is very, very effective in criticism of the Anons. Again, I'm your friend, I'm not against the Anons. But when you see a good burn, you gotta appreciate it for what it is. And this is a beautiful burn. It's only 30 seconds. It's 10 times as effective as Dr. White's, 8,000 videos on the Anons. And at the same time, because it's humorous, it actually maintains goodwill towards the persons and people that you are criticizing. So now that I've talked this up, prepare for a thing of beauty.
Hey, I'm a young right-leaning man. Don't you want to influence me? Don't be too harsh on the things I'm saying. Oh no, you're pushing me into the arms of a Nazi. Don't push me like that. I don't like that. I'm gonna go for the guy with the Hitler stash.
It's just as funny as the first time I listened to it. It's got everything. It's just, oh no. Don't push me like that. I don't like that. I'm going to go for the guy with the Hitler stash. Ten out of 10. 10 out of 10. I thought that was absolutely a thing of beauty. All right. So it's been a few days since the last video, and I've had some ideas for videos over the past few days, and nothing really felt right. You know what I mean? And everything that I had the idea to do a video on, I was like, yeah, that's really not that important. And all of that. And then I saw, this week we had the Wasson watch company. Now, I'm not really big on these new companies that come out and start saying some base things. Like there was that company, Dissident Soaps, and there was a few different other companies that come out and they say some base things, and that's like their marketing campaign. And I'm not really that into that kind of thing. You know what I mean? Unless there's a real, unless there's something that it's different about the product, or like really it makes you enthusiastic. Like the one company, Farmer Bill's, the Biltong company, man, like that, they come out and they say some base stuff, it's part of their marketing. And, again, I don't really care about that. But this Biltong is unbelievable. Like I'd never even heard of it. You know what I mean? I've always been a, regular jerky kind of guy, but the Biltong, it had like the fat is still in there, and it still looks like a piece of meat, and you just eat it, and it's moist. It's not like jerky at all. It's unbelievably delicious. It's so good. You know what I mean? So something like that, I can get behind that because, by the way, I don't get paid to promote Biltong, but anyway, although they did send me some Biltong for free, so I guess maybe I do. I got paid in a thing of Biltong. But I've made some purchases since then. It's just so fantastic. Farmer Bill's. Check it out. And they've got some new products in the works that look pretty interesting to me, like an organ meat sausage. Man, I love organ meats. They're so good. and they're very good for you, of course. But to put it together in like a snack, that sounds amazing to me. I don't know. So I'm not really into this kind of stuff, but I saw a lot of people promoting Wasson watches and stuff like that. Well, anyway, Wasson watches has come out, very autistically against the Nazis. They're shrieking out about the Nazis. Joel Webbin's a Nazi and this and that, and how, if you wear a watch, if you wear one of their watches, then you're one of the good guys that was bashing Nazis over the head and stuff like that. So, I thought, people wanted me to comment on that. And so, anyway, but before we get into that, we got to talk about the Mets. We've got to talk about the Mets. And, as we know, they have had a tremendous slump since they decided to promote homosexual, sodomy and degeneracy. They had their Pride Night, and they did the flag thing, and there's, pictures of the Jumbotron on homosexuals shaking their rear ends because that's what they use for the sex. You know what I mean? They use the sex, so they put the thing in the butt. You know what I mean? That's very disgusting at a kid's game. You bring your kids to the game and it's Pride Night. You know what I mean? That's beautiful, absolutely beautiful. Anyways, they went on a huge losing streak after that, and then since then they have won a game, but they're 1 in like 11 in that span, 1 in 12 maybe even. I don't even know. It's just unbelievable. And they keep losing. And the thing is, it's like, okay, well, they had such a great start. They're still in second place. They're still one of the best teams in baseball. They're still on pace to win more than 90 games in the year, which is a pretty good season. But this last streak has shown tremendous flaws in the team. And it's actually worse than that when you really think about it, because what's happening right now is the pitching of the Mets. They've been pitching so well, and statistically, they are still pitching pretty well. But they've calmed down a little bit. They're not like world beaters on pitching anymore. They've got a good staff, right? But they're overworked. Their relievers are overworked. Their starting pitchers are starting to not go deep into games, which puts more pressure on the relievers. And so the pitching is pretty average right now. Pretty average. And so they've gone on this losing streak with pretty average pitching. Well, how do you do that? Well, the way you do that is by also having subpar hitting, right? So if you have average pitching and subpar hitting, then obviously the trains have fallen off the bus. But here's the truth of the matter. It's actually way worse than this last span of 12 games. They've actually had pretty subpar hitting the entire season. But the difference was in April and May, they were winning those games because their pitching was so good. But they still weren't really hitting that well. And they're hitting about the same now. But the thing is, it can't keep up with the lackluster pitching on top of that. So they're losing games that they would have won in April and May. Now, I'll give you a perfect example. Last night's game, we have great pitching. Frankie Montas, this is his first start of the year. He's got horrible rehab starts in AAA and AA and single A. He had like a 13 ERA. He comes in against the Braves, against a great pitcher, and he throws 5 shutout innings, right? We get a 3-0 lead, right? So we've got 3 runs, and we scored 3 runs in the 4th or 5th inning, something like that. And then we don't score again. And because the pitching is so taxed and so, lackluster right now, the Braves score 7 runs, and we can't respond. We end up losing 7-4. We scored 1 in the 9th. In April, it would have been the same hitting. We would have been up 3-0, and then the relievers would have come in. They might have given up a run or two. We would win 3-2. So the hitting has been bad this entire time. And in the beginning of the year, Alonso was hitting, but Soto really wasn't. And then now Soto's hitting. He's just having a monster stretch. I mean, Soto's been on fire this entire losing streak. One of the best hitters in the game. But nobody else is hitting. And it's a real problem. It's a real issue. The team is not hitting. And it's all of the guys that you need to hit, Lindor, Alonso, and Soto, like they're not hitting together. And then the back half of the lineup is not panning out. I mean, we had a lot of young guys there, Brett Beatty, third baseman, we got Vientos. He's on the injured list right now, but even he wasn't hitting. Francisco Alvarez, he used to be the top prospect in the game, and he just wasn't hitting. He got sent back down to the minors. So our prospects aren't panning out. So the Mets have a real problem. There's no end in sight of this losing streak. I'll tell you that right now. I mean, I guess it's not a streak, but it's just a stretch of games that we're losing. There's no end in sight. I mean, tonight you would think we'd have a good chance to win. The Braves have a pitcher who's, young guy. He's got like a 7 ERA. He's not very good. He's just still trying to figure it out. He's probably going to look like Greg Maddux tonight. But let's just be honest. I've seen this game 100 times. He's going to shut us down like Greg Maddux used to. And he's just this, jag pitcher. Nobody knows who he is. And he probably stinks. And that's the thing, too. The Braves always have players that stink against everybody else. But to us, they hit like crazy. I mean, they find these guys that just, for some reason, like to hit against the Mets. It's brutal. It's absolutely brutal. And I was talking to my brother yesterday, and we were trying to identify what it is about the Mets that sucks. You know what I mean? Like, we suck again. And how can this be, right? And I think, maybe I'm biased because I watch the Mets a lot. But the Mets, they honestly just don't seem like professionals. You know what I mean? Like, there's a difference between someone who's very good at a sport, but they're not a professional. They just like playing. They're very good at it. But to them, it's really not like a job. You don't have to be clinical about it. You could just goof off like a goofball and have fun making a ton of money, and that's what it is, right? The Mets are just a bunch of goofballs. That's the problem. They're like the Mighty Ducks. You know what I mean? They've got all of these characters, right? But really, this is the thing about the Mighty Ducks, right? We love the Mighty Ducks. Everybody here loves the Ducks, right? Who doesn't love the Mighty Ducks? It's a great movie, right? And they play the Hawks, right? The Hawks are their professional team. Talented. They've got a proven system that they're clinical about it, and it's just embarrassing when the Ducks play the Hawks in the beginning, right? And then the Mighty Ducks, find their little magic, whatever. And, they get the Bash brother, that comes in and all that and stuff, and they get better, right? But they're just having fun, they just like hockey, they just enjoy playing hockey, but they're not clinical about it, right? Well, in real life, the Hawks win every time. The Ducks, of course, beat the Hawks in the end. We all understand that's fantasy, though. That doesn't happen in real life. You know what I mean? When you've got players that are talented, but they're just goofballs, they're just having fun, and then you got the team that's also talented, but they're clinical about it, they're professionals, they always win. That's real life, right? So the Mets, they might have a magical run to the NLCS, but until they become professionals, they're never going to win anything. It's as simple as that. And that's the difference between the Mets and the Yankees, for example. Like the Yankees, they're professionals, right? And they're going through it too. This is amazing. The Mets and the Yankees are having an identical season. They can't, and the Yankees can't hit either. And they've had this similar stretch where they've lost like they're like 1-12 in the last 13 games. It's unbelievable, and they get very good pitching. The Yankees have a good pitching staff. It's not that they were pitching above their heads. They're pitching right where they should be. They have a good pitching staff. But the bullpen's getting overworked and all this kind of stuff, and they can't hit. I mean, they've got Aaron Judge. He's a Nephilim. We all understand. But if Aaron Judge isn't going to win you the game on his own, and when he doesn't hit, nobody hits. When he hits, everybody hits. But when he doesn't hit, nobody hits. They don't have the hitting. The Yankees and the Mets are so similar right now, and they're going through the same kind of thing. And they had a great start. They have basically the same record. They're in the kind of the same situation, except the Yankees are in first place by a game and a half. The Mets are down by like a game and a half or 2 games or whatever it is. And they're having like the same season. But I fully expect the Yankees to get right because they're professionals. They're clinical. The Mets are just a bunch of goofballs. You got Pete Alonso. He's like the Bash brother. You know what I mean? He's like the goofball guy he's a slugger, but does he really know how to play? Who knows? Who knows? He's like the Bash brother. Yeah, he's got a good slap shot, but can he skate? Can he? Does he know what's going on in the team? No, of course he doesn't know. Of course he doesn't know. We got. Aberman, the goofy guy, that's like McNeil, he's okay, he's talented, but, at the same time, he doesn't really have a whole lot of confidence. He gets real emotional. It's kind of like Jeff McNeil. You got Nimmo from Wisconsin. I think he's from Wisconsin or Wyoming or something like that. Just an all-American guy you'd be happy for your daughter to date, you know what I mean? Just a solid guy. He's like that cowboy guy that they get in the second movie, Yeehaw, very good at the game, but he's just a goofball. There's no leader. They got Lindor. He's like one of the black players on the team. Remember the Oreo line? You know, they're good. They're talented. They got the physical abilities, but, you know, they're just having a good time, you know. Lindor, look, I'm not upset that Lindor's smiling all the time. He strikes out. He's smiling. Like, whatever. That's who you are, right? But he's not a leader. He's just like he's a good player. He's a very good player. And it's fine to have these kind of guys on your team, but you also need a leader. You know what I mean? Like, that's another thing the Yankees have that the Mets don't have. They've got Judge. Judge is a leader. He's a leader of men. He's the kind of guy that you would follow over the wall when you're in the foxhole. You know what I mean? You feel like you can do it when he's doing it, you know? The Mets don't have that. The Mets don't have that. And then they've got Soto, right? Soto is a phenomenal player. He's a generational player. Nothing can convince me otherwise. One of the best players in the game. He's clinical. You know what I mean? He is clinical. He's a professional hitter. But he's not a leader. He doesn't bring people to his level. He kind of gets dragged down to your level. He's like Adam Banks, right? Adam Banks, he gets redistricted to the Mighty Ducks, and he shows up to practice because he likes the game. He's good at it. He's the best player on the team, right? And he shows up. He's a Hawk, but now he's a Met. Now he's a Met. Now he's a Duck, you know? And he's just doing his thing. You know what I mean? He's there. He's ready to play. He's going in the right position, waiting for the pass. He's ready to score. He's going to score a ton of goals, of course. He's a great player. But he's not going to help the team get to his level. You know what I mean? He's not going to, because he doesn't really even want to be there. He wants to be on the clinical team, but, you know, he's ended up on the Ducks, and now he's there, and he's the best player, but he's not going to help the team, really. Like, he's just going to do his thing. And Soto's always going to do his thing, but he's not going to inspire people to rise to his level. He's just going to do his thing. That's his thing. And it's fine to have a guy like Soto, because there's lots of guys like that. Not everybody's a leader. Not everybody's a leader. And talent alone is not enough to make you a leader. But you need to have that guy. You need to have that leader. People keep hoping Lindor is going to be that guy. I'm sorry, he's just not. He's not going to be that guy. You got Alvarez. Alvarez is like the goalie, obviously. Goldberg, the goalie, you know? Because when you're a kid, you expect that the goalie is fat, right? You expect, that's how it always was when you were a kid. The goalie, he's fat, right? But then when you grow up, you realize those goalies weren't fat. In fact, they were the most athletic person on the team. You know what I mean? They're thin. It's just the pads that made them look fat. But in your kid mind, the goalie's fat. So Goldberg looks like a goalie. He looks like a goalie, but he's not really athletic. And it's the same thing with Alvarez. Like, you look at him and you're like, oh, yeah, that's a catcher. You know, he's got the big thighs, muscles everywhere. But the thing is, he's too big. He can't move. He can't block balls. That's why he does the lazy backhands on the balls in the dirt, because he actually can't get up and block the ball the way you're supposed to. Catchers actually aren't fat. I know when we're kids, we think they're all fat. The fat kid plays catcher. We all get it, right? But when you grow up, you realize, no, those catchers are actually extremely athletic, and they're the ones that, after the ball's hit and it's going to be a ground ball, they book it to first base to back up the first baseman, and they have to do that multiple times a game, and you have to be fit to be a catcher. Alvarez just isn't. He's like Goldberg, the goalie. The Mets are the Mighty Ducks. That's what's going on with the Mets. They're the Mighty Ducks. And sure, they're having a great time, and sure, they're pretty good, but the thing is, in the movie, they beat the Hawks. In reality, you never beat the Hawks when you're the Mighty Ducks. It's just not possible. You can't do it. So that's what's going on with the Mets. In any case, yeah, that's the video for today. Hope you enjoyed it. And Wasson Watch Company, who cares?
Fuego, puro fuego es mi amor.